1, 2, 3, go! Yes! The best! Best! The best! Yun! Yes! The best! Yun!
Go for! Bren Esports know that Burmese schools have the team fight on lock right now for the early game. What they are doing right now is they're trying to get the small victories. Get the turtle, don't overextend, do not engage him as much as possible. It's their time now. Just fight, and Bren Esports are doing it well.
Can they get more, though? Can they push this advantage that they have here? D needs to get out of there. Oh, no, Rebo, he gets caught by the Imperials. Justice. Great play coming in for the Burmese schools. And a huge counter item here. Necklace of Durans just to stop the healing coming in from everybody on the side of Bren. And they want to go for another pick onto Lusty. Wrong place, wrong time.
On the bottom lane, there is another kill on Flap Easy. And bodies are going down on the floor just because Burmese schools, they really like these pickoffs. 3 fronts, a lot of these kills. But for the side of Bren Esports,
hold up, Easy looking for some revenge. Kid uses the Imperial Justice to retreat. That's gonna be
the fights, but they're timing it well. When do they take a fight?
feelings have been hurt, and Lord is marching down mid.
Nice engage there for the side of Kid. He might have bitten off more than he can chew, but Ruby DD saves the day. They cut their losses to a minimum.
Bren just hit their power spike. All Burmese goals have to do, play this slow, clear that waves, wait until that Lord is up, and then play this stalemate where you're putting enough pressure to say, hey, I could look to contest you on Lord, and I might contest you on Lord, but as long as you are not finishing the Lord, we have enough time to hit our 42k power spike, and then that's where they're going to call it.
Queen swings on Carl Teasy. He might just tank some of the damage.
Oh! The fight has already started from the back line. Ejector on the Flap Easy. He pops the Poissons, and that's he taking quite a few hits from that. Mountain Shocker gonna be an incentive for Bren Esports to back out. That's gonna be from the back lines, maybe. Getting Chong. Oh! This is going to be the pit helping Bren Esports out. That's a double for Bren. Make it a triple. It's one for each of the TZs. And right now, they are primed for the second Lord take. Mind you, this is luminous.
Oh no, this was a very poor choice for the Burmese schools to actually initiate on that fight. They said, hey, maybe we can go back in. The Toys Poissons has been wasted, and he's got a little bit of health. He has maxed on his passive, so he could heal back up. Unfortunately, Rubini can't get into the fight. You want to fight on these neutral objectives, a place where you have a lot of places to abuse your Chrono Dash and kind of outmaneuver your opponents.
Molten Core became the cursed helmet here for Flap Teasy. Carl Teasy having a good time just roaming around the map, getting those stacks, and Dominance Eyes, Queen Swings, cursed helmet. That is enough defense items to tank the damage that will come out from Burmese schools. So that means as long as Flap Teasy is getting item progression, there is going to be a lot more resources that will be put to him to take him down.
I would totally agree here, and again, Burmese schools have to choose the places that they fight in. They cannot go into these narrow corridors. They cannot afford to get hit by these big-ticket ultimates from Lusty. And if Rebo gets into that back line, sure, you have escape mechanics, but Kid needs to be the one to dictate where the place and time the fight is going to occur.
And those are all tall orders because Bren Esports has the superior combat mobility. They can just say where the fight happens and they can force him, and right now that's what's happening here. Mountain Shocker to try and clear the waves, but it's too little too late. Lord already whacks away at that inhibitor turret. Ace at less than half health. That's going to be the push on bottom lane as well. Now only mid stands. Let's see how Burmese schools will deal with the second Lord of the game. There's a fight on all fronts here, and I'm waiting to see who's going to make the first move.
Oh, thankfully they were able to kill the Lord before it actually charged in towards that inhibitor down on mid side. That would have been a huge blow.
The Rebo is just turning on that blood ode. He's never turning it off. He has the purple buff on under his belt. Now Carl Teasy to just end this just because Burmese schools are not getting their buffs anymore.
Yeah, this is a joke right here.
I mean, you're saying it's a choke, but it's only 8K. They're only 8K behind. Burmese Ghouls, if they win one fight, they're even. And if they win that fight, the goal lead isn't going to matter at all once it hits that 53K mark.
But then again, Gidjon, if you are defending this hard, you take every advantage that you can.
True, but that also means you have a safe way to farm. It goes both ways here. Bren need to find a way to catch the Burmese Ghouls off guard. And the Burmese Ghouls, if they get a little too antsy and they don't play disciplined and walk out and get punished for that mistake, Bren will end this game. There's going to be 92 more seconds. And Burmese Ghouls don't necessarily have to force anything.
So far, these two teams have been acting like well-informed businessmen. They know the economy of their skills. They know what the timings are like. They know which heroes should be the priority. And right now, they know how much each buff costs. And that's what I'm trying to get at. The last time we checked, as you said, it was what? Like a 7K, 8K gold lead? Just. But that's because Brady Sports has been on the choke only about a rotation of buffs in. But now, that's the second or third. And Burmese Ghouls, you see it. You feel that Ruby DD. You feel that Ace. They're just not dealing as much damage.
For now, but let's have a look. I mean, they've got the purple buff, which is really important, especially for Rebo here. And now, keep your eyes on Kaltizi. When he has that orange buff, Burmese Ghouls might have to reconsider whether or not, who the hero priority is going to be here. And this orange buff is way too important. Pulls in two for the Burmese Ghouls, and the Mountain Shocker does come out. But maybe he's trying to zone out the rest. And Kaltizi, he doesn't mind taking that damage as he goes on forward, but Ruby DD is going to be the next on the chopping block. He tries to dodge it around with his Adamant Force, but it ain't going to be enough as maybe pulls backwards again. He can't do too much. He turns around with the Imperial Justice. Ace tries to go in and get the killing spree. He's got it down. Now it's a 1v3. He dodges right in between, slipping and sliding, but Rebo finally joins the fight. This is looking pretty bad for the Burmese Ghouls, especially on game one. And Brent, they call it off, take their wins, and now they need to end this right here, right now.
And there's going to be few trying to do as much damage as possible. Maybe here, gets gone out. Ace gets gone out as well. And look at this, the burst down won't be there, but that is not going to be the main objective as the base of Burmese Ghouls go down.
That's game one taken here by Brenny Sports. Chop on up to the Filipinos. And Butters, how perfect you called the very last moments. This is a different Brenny Sports. They don't need that game one pickup.
Yeah, and of course, we're going to get back to Butters in a little bit. This is what you actually talk about much in the couple of all these series. They always lose game one, and they are proving everybody wrong this time. They are picking First Blood.
Yeah, more importantly, that First Blood, it really made quite a difference, didn't it, Butters?
Yeah, I mean, in terms of the pacing here, the First Blood was good, but at the same time, Burmese Ghouls, they still played their game. They had the perfect early game. They got the first turtle. They got what they wanted. But the thing right now, the difference right now is Bren Esports, they really thought about how to handle that pressure. They always go for the trades. BG, they are not a team to take risks. So that means if you get the trade on them, they won't be pushing as much because they're not as 5.
Well, I think at this point, I do agree with that they don't necessarily take risks here, but I think looking at the draft, there is that big issue with that Boxia, and I think we have enough of a data pool to say, yes, Boxia.
I agree that there are some draft issues for Burmese Ghouls. I think they also played this well, but unfortunately, Bren Sports, they were better planned in this particular game. What do you think about that?
So, since this is the grand finals, I will actually look at a little bit more critically, where I feel like both of these teams both equally made mistakes. Where early stages in the game, where Brand, okay, maybe they wanted to scale a little bit to the mid-game before they start taking the fights, but it seemed like they were not sure what to do and how to respond to what BG is doing. And the same thing happens to BG later on in the game, where, alright, the early and the mid stages, they look pretty good, but then when it starts to matter in the terms of team fight, they have some big mistakes. Like, I don't think we'll be looking at any clips, but the thing is, Yu Zong, as we can see, when he goes in his Black Dragon form, he takes too much damage. And the thing is, we will look at his itemization and see why that is so. And the last thing is that when he lands, he doesn't successfully hit any knockup. And Brand, they just kite and then they just go back in.
You know, night and day, I would say, from the performances of the playmakers when the mid-game did happen. This is why I feel that my personal MVP is Lusty for this particular game, because his playmaking alone trumps the initiations coming out from Burmese Ghouls. Because if you think about it, Sylvana and Joyd and the Yuzong, made a lot of questionable calls in the mid game. But let's talk about the items. One thing I want to point out is Few with this first item Durance. He picked this up about maybe 5-6 minutes, and that is so crucial for Brand Esports. As the mid laner for Brand Esports, he's able to just help his teammates kill people in a mid game.
I just appreciate whenever teams are playing the Baxia composition, they just have a Necklace of Durance early or a Daily Blade just to make sure that no one in the enemy team can ever sustain.
That's right.
Now, look at Yuzong's itemization. He is mostly on MR. He is mostly on Magic Resist. There is no armor coming from the Yuzong. And every time he goes in, he is always kited by the Claude. The Claude just goes back. He uses his artillery to get more stacks of movement speed as well as attack speed. And the damage that Yuzong took, he could not handle. And Sylvana and Jawhead. Sylvana, in my opinion, had more catches than the Jawhead, where the Jawhead is more like a scouting kind of player, and he did not do much of the initiation. And even if it did, it didn't mean that much in the grander scale of the game. Just like you said, comparing Jawhead and Lusty with the Atlas did so much more.
You know what? We always talk about the scaling potential of the cores. Why don't we talk about the scaling potential of the supports? Because I think that their damage might not be scaling, but the impact of their initiations, there is a lot of difference. Like, for example, Sylvan and Joy, they're really good when it comes to the early game pickoffs. But in the late game stages or the mid game stages when it matters most, Atlas obviously trumps it. And I love the way how Flapteasy played it. And wow, okay, this guy is not going to go... we are going to see him in many MVP appearances. My goodness, another one from Carl Teasy.
If he keeps playing the way that he's playing, he is going to get the MVP.
That's
with
right.
A lot of damage being caught out by the Claude, making sure that he kites out all of the engagement from the enemy team, making it very, very difficult for Burmese Ghouls to really take him out. Now, the thing is, Burmese Ghouls, they are very, very good at team fighting.